All right, we are at 6:30. We will reconvene and begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. We are going to begin with item 4 tonight, our presentations and special recognition. Dr. Bill Robinson.
Thank you. Last year in the spring, we applied for a grant through the Lower Elkhorn Resource District for some trees in the district, and we were awarded that. So Bob Huntley, if you'd come forward, he's here to present our grant award. I'll have you do the mic, isn't it? Records for the, for the TV.
Hi, like I say, my name is Bob Huntley. I'm on the board of directors of the Lower Elkhorn Natural Resource Districts. And I was talking to somebody earlier. My son, his first planting of trees was 5,000 trees and bushes on his farm west of Hayter. So I've been quite associated with trees for a long time. So it's always an honor to come and present this through our forestry program. And it gives me great pleasure to give you a check for $411 and a sign to put up for the trees, and they look good. Thank you very much. I'm always used to giving those checks to women, you know.
Oh. Well, I'll hand it over to our superintendent, okay? The two trees that we purchased some nursery stock trees from Earl May, and they are planted at the AFS Center in the front. They're a type of a maple tree. They'll look real nice. So, thank you.
And Bob, we'd just like to say thanks for the collaboration between a couple entities in the area, and you guys are great supporters of what we're doing in all of our communities. So thank you. All right, we'll move on to item 5, the public comments and communication. This is the time during the board meeting when the public may request to address the board. If you wish to comment, we ask that you identify yourself and the topic you wish to address. Each individual's comments will be limited to 5 minutes. Please note the board cannot discuss or act upon matters that are not listed on the agenda. Therefore, board members will not respond to your comments or questions. If you wish to request an item be placed on a future board agenda, you may contact the superintendent or assistant during normal business hours. Also note that concerns related to school personnel need to be addressed to the superintendent using approved district protocol. Do we have any public comment tonight? Hearing none, we will move on to our information and discussion items, beginning with 6.1, Finance and Facilities Report. Dr. Bill Robinson.
Thank you, Mr. President. Total amount of claims we approved in the consent agenda for the month of August by specific fund is as follows. The general fund of $416,853.71. Nutrition fund of $52,359.99. Cooperative fund of $122,686.25. Depreciation fund $10,578.22. Our special building fund $94,651.27. Employee benefit fund $290. Student fee fund $13,840.44. In July, we had $152,594.84 from the activities funds. All these claims were reviewed earlier today by our Finance and Facility Committee, and this is the last set of claims outside of a special set that we'll talk about earlier for this fiscal year.
Item 6.2 is our teaching and learning report. Beth Nelson.
Thank you, Mr. President. In the area of curriculum instruction and assessment, some of our items from this last month, buildings and teachers should all have their supplies and their technology is working. We always have some last minute things where we have more kids in certain places than we anticipate, so we got to kind of get that shifted around, and we'll be ready to go here soon. Training has been fantastic, and we've evolved our scheduling and our offerings. The addition of Heather Thompson and Renee Rucker to the teaching and learning team has been a very nice nice, awesome improvement. They jumped right in, moved us right along. We've had some nice continued science curriculum work all summer long in 5th through 8th grade, and I'm really impressed with their initiative to get together and do it on their own without specific hand-over-hand leadership. Once we got them started, they felt like they could keep moving forward. We've lined up a small pilot with a science resource. We will only be piloting on the standards where we've got targets that are written already. I need to line up a meeting with the curriculum committee members, Dr. Goebbels, Mr. Robinson, and Mr. Mitchell, to review some curricular processes, documents, and discuss this science pilot. And we can visit about that in a bit here. Also, we have continued training coming up tomorrow, First Education. It will be at the senior high building. We have 7:12 in the morning and K6 in the afternoon. But it's our continued focus and moving us forward through our target-based grading initiative. In the area of technology, all our updates, replacements, new purchases, everything's complete early this year. As far as we're sure, everything should be good to go. The tech sale was modest this year in terms of its items that were available, but we did manage a large crowd though. So any questions about any of those items? Okay, thank you.
6.3 is our student services report. Mary Lure.
Thank you, Mr. President. The summer 2018 summer school attendance numbers at each level are as follows. Little Panther Preschool had 24 students. Elementary level was 327. Middle school, junior high combined was 146, and senior high had 260 students for a total of 757 students. As a reminder, open houses will start for the 2018-19 school year. They've been scheduled for the following dates. Tuesday, tomorrow night, middle school will be open from 5:30 to 6:30, high school from 6 to 8, and the junior high from 7 to 8. The elementary buildings will all be open on Wednesday, August 15th from 5:30 to 6:30. Thursday, August 16th, students at the elementary schools, middle school, junior high, as well as 9th graders and new students to the high school report for classes. The returning students in 10th and 12th will start their classes on Friday, August 17th. Kindergarten classes are split for the first 2 days. Half will attend on Thursday and the other half will attend on Friday. Parents were informed of which day their kindergarten will report to school. Additional basic school supplies as guided by the district school supply list have been purchased by the school district and will be made available to those qualifying students who request them. These are the basic school materials like paper, pencils, glues, folders, binders, etc. Do I have any questions?
I had a question, Mary.
Yes?
So if I was a new sophomore that moved here, I would go to school all by myself?
They have that option. We have found, I think that I can't even say that this, I think they're finding that they just keep it with the freshmen because it is that one sophomore walking through the school by themselves. But some kids are more comfortable with that less number. It's kind of a comfort level thing. We don't make them come on Thursday by themselves, but if they chose to get the feel of the building, they're welcome.
So it's
to
just
do
a
it.
walkthrough, they don't like go to a class and?
Oh, no, they go there through the whole schedule all day.
Okay,
Yep.
they just sit there in that class.
Yeah, which is why they have the open house, yeah. And there are some kids that are more comfortable with that just to get to know that teacher, but there are kids who choose to stay until Friday.
Did the summer school numbers you report include the Howell Summer School we just had the presentation on?
They did not, and they did not include the aftershock program.
Do you know what those might be, just roughly? I mean, you don't have to know for sure.
I think Taryn said around 20 in each group. And then aftershock increased me quite a bit, actually. There was, because of that carryover. And then again, it's just that middle level. So that junior high, middle school levels numbers would have increased.
Excellent. We'll move on and hopefully, Mike, I know it's been kind of a quiet last couple of weeks for you, but maybe you could give us a Human Resources and Accreditation report.
Thank you, Mr. President. Real quick, just again, I want to comment on the new to the district staff training. Last week, we were able to meet our newest and largest group of educators in a long time. and just spend time with them, getting to know them and preparing them for the beginning of the year. And I wanted you to know that a lot of the things we worked on, we just worked on instructional and operational practices, and we talked about things like curriculum, target-based grading, professional practices, the instructional model, really a lot about building positive relationships with kids, professional learning communities, and technology. And again, this is a really outstanding group of people that are eager to serve their students, their buildings, and our community. So I think our principals did a really nice job of hiring excellent people. Substitute teacher training. We had a workshop last Thursday. We have another one coming up on the 21st. Again, with that, we're also training our substitutes on the safety protocols. We want to make sure that that gets the message to everybody. We also have a classified sub training that was held last Friday. I just want to again tell our subs how much we appreciate them coming in and subbing when our teachers are gone. And if you'd like to be a sub, please go to the website. You can apply online on our website. Our instructional model is going live. And today with Dave Burgess was just a great example of Spark, and that's going to feed right into what we're doing with our instructional model. So I really want to thank everybody involved with that project to just giving an outstanding addition to our teachers' toolboxes. It's really going to be a good addition. And then I'm pleased to say that our openings, although not complete, have been minimized. So I would entertain any questions at this time. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. 6-5, Dr. Thompson, Superintendent's Report.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have 2 items this evening, starting with kindergarten enrollment. As of last Friday, we had 333 students enrolled in kindergarten compared to 289 last year. If you remember, I had hypothesized that the 2017-18 kindergarten class was an anomaly rather than a trend, and it does appear that I was correct. On average, our kindergarten enrollment over the last 10 years has been 320, with 334 being our highest enrollment, which we're very close to, in 2016, and 289 being our low in 2017. That kindergarten enrollment will continue to go up and down over the next few weeks, and truthfully throughout the entire year, as we have a mobility rate of about 7%. So, but I would anticipate it'd be right around 330, 335, something like that. So glad to see those numbers back up. And then the town hall on property taxes. The Independent Cattlemen of Nebraska, the Neely newspaper, and the Norfolk Daily News are hosting a town hall meeting regarding property taxes on Tuesday, August 28th at 7 p.m. in our Johnny Carson Theater. This event is not sponsored or endorsed by the Norfolk Public Schools. However, it would be good for us to have some school representatives there to hear the presentation, ask questions, and possibly make comments. I would entertain questions as well.
None? All right. We'll move on to our committee reports, beginning with board building visit reports. We went pretty in-depth on that with some discussions of the new teacher week and new first week of school discussion earlier. Does anyone have anything else to add on board building visits?
I would just say I had a couple of things just because of my kids that I went to. The marching band camp was the first part of August, and they did a performance on the last night, which was fun. They'll learn an entire new show again this year that they'll perform, so they're on their way to doing that. So if you have a chance to see that at a football game, always impressive. And I was impressed by the efficiency of the high school registration this year, and I don't know if I have gotten better, which I'm sure is true, or if something is different, because we were in and out of there in no time, and it was fantastic, and you could fill out all your paper ahead of time and pay everything, and it was great. So kudos to the high school for whatever they're doing, which obviously was not super obvious to me, but I felt it on the time I spent there. So I think that was very slick and really a nice way to kick off the year. So they're doing, Mary?
I do know that the that the assistant principals worked very hard to get those forms online, and because they had to do a lot of clearance with Bill for the finances and myself in order to be able to do those things and what paperwork needs to have that legal signature, those kinds of things. They worked hard on that, that group of principals, and made it. I agree with you 100%. I was in and out in 5 seconds. I was like, wow, that was fast. So
Almost like, what did we miss?
yeah,
Like,
what did we do wrong? Yeah, but yeah, they have greatly improved that. I would agree with you.
thanks to them, because it was very obvious to me, and this is my 4th year of doing it as you, and you could definitely tell it was much more smooth.
Think outside the box all the time.
Item 7.2 is our Facilities and Finance Committee report. Bob?
Thank you, Mr. President. We just had a very short meeting at noon today. Not a lot going on. Did discuss the 25th Street facility. There will be a meeting coming up shortly. Well, excuse me, they had it already, didn't you? Relative to meeting with all the subcontractors and the contractors and getting everybody on board so they knew what was going to be going on. Hopefully, well, it doesn't appear that we'll be into that facility and working on it until October, which is the date we had set in mind, which is kind of too bad.
You wanted earlier.
I want it earlier, yes. It'll be done in time then for sure. The facility at the middle school, the streets straightened out and operational. Roof at the middle school's done. Some HVAC work at the junior high, is done. And it was a quite peaceful year, no construction or anything going on for Dr. Robinson.
I'll make up for it here this next year.
I would just add that, very clear that our administration is on top of the contractor and making sure that the contractor knows he's got deadlines, and his subs have been informed of the deadlines, and they seem to have the plan in place and ready to roll. So it's going to be exciting to see that transformation from today to when we open preschool in that building 1 year from now.
In the next month or two, the architect will be up and doing some looking at our facilities and getting some hard numbers ready for us to take a look at relative to some upcoming projects.
I would just like to note that our second meeting of the month, August 23rd, will be a special budget workshop to give in-depth information to the board before they're asked to approve that.
7.3 is our Policy Committee report. Patty?
The Policy Committee continues to be busy. We met July 26th, and our first item of business was to take a final look at the elementary homework talking points, just to make sure that they are consistent with our existing homework policy, which is 6240. In addition, Dr. Thompson outlined for us the research and learning process that she is going to use with a homework ad hoc committee. That committee will be made up of representatives across the district, school personnel, and ultimately what they will do after their research and study and learning is make guideline and policy recommendations to our committee. And our policy committee then will use those recommendations really as our starting point and as our framework as we revise our homework policy 6240. And I think the goal really is for us to have something in the spring in terms of policy, so that there's plenty of time for people to get ready and work with homework guidelines and so on for that following school year. We also set our meeting schedule for the year. We will be meeting immediately following the second board meeting of the month. So our next meeting is September 27th. And at that meeting, we will start our annual policy review process. We will also be looking at a recommended policy from Perry Law Firm. So once again, the policy committee is getting geared up to go full force with policies.
I think the ad hoc committee sounds like a really good method for getting the boots on the ground input for how we should shape our policy, and I like the concept of having our policy and our practice matching, so very good. Government relations, Tammy.
The Government Relations Committee has not met, but things continue to happen legislatively and politically across the state. So we've been watching those. There have been a few editorials recently, first from Senator Linehan, and then a rebuttal from Ann Hunter Purtle, who is the director of Stand for Schools, regarding public school property taxes and the like. So there are just a few things to highlight, which I think really paint the picture of school spending and public school in Nebraska. The gist of her Ann's article or editorial was that school spending is not the reason for high property tax. Nebraska's property taxes are high because the state ranks 48th in the nation for state investment in education, forcing local property tax to make up the difference. Over the past 5 years, the average annual budget increase was only 2.7% for public schools, which is less than for the state government. Our public schools are doing a great job. Nebraska's 2017 4th and 8th graders scored higher than their peers across the country in math and reading on the National Assessment of Educational Progress. Only 2 states outscore Nebraska in 4th grade reading, and only 2 scored better than Nebraska in math. So it's very impressive work being done in our public schools. Our Government Relations Committee will continue to monitor this important issue and advocate for fair and appropriate levels of funding for our public schools. Questions?
Item 7.5, activities report, Sandy.
The activities report, the activities committee is anxiously awaiting the activities to begin. And once they begin, we will also begin. So we'll meet on Monday, August 27th at noon once we have activities.
Item 7.6, also a full agenda item of no minutes of committee meetings were submitted. That we will move on to the consent agenda, which we actually have a consent agenda. We have minutes of previous meetings. There is no personnel, and we have claims. Dr. Robbins, anything to add on claims?
No, the claims are as presented.
With that, I would accept a motion on the consent agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
I'll second.
Motion from Bob, second from Tammy. Do we have any further discussion on the consent agenda? Hearing none, the voting is open. Please vote.
Motion carried 5-0.
Action items, beginning with number 9.1. Discuss, consider, and approve the Americanism Committee members. Dr. Thompson.
Thank you, Mr. President. Although we appoint most of our committee members in January, the state statute on the Americanism Committee specifically says that the members of this committee must be appointed at the beginning of the school year. So we need to take care of that tonight. I have listed the statute there for you. It is very lengthy. 2 of the biggest responsibilities of this committee are to review and approve textbooks that are related to American history and civics and government, to make sure that they adequately stress the services of the men and women who achieved our national independence, established our constitutional government, and preserved our union. And the other is to make sure that we are carrying out various activities throughout the year, such as saying the Pledge of Allegiance, honoring certain days during the school year, etc. Mrs. Nelson does most of the legwork for the committee on that, in gathering that information from building principals and then presenting it to the committee to review. If I can scroll down here. Our current members of the Americanism Committee are Bruce Mitchell, Dr. Patty Goebbels, and Arnie Robinson. I did not contact them to see if they wish to remain on the committee, so that may be up for discussion.
I'll make a motion to approve the Americanism Committee members as presented.
Second.
We have a motion from Sandy, a second from Tammy. Do we have any other discussion on this item?
Thank you.
No, I think that's great, and I would say, while we're discussing the Americanism, our teachers and administrators and the entire staff of our district does an outstanding job of the Americanism. When you go to an elementary school, or you go to any of our buildings, and the Pledge of Allegiance, and patriotic songs, and the Veterans Day assemblies, and all the things that are happening outside of making sure it's in the curriculum, our staff does a great job on that, and I think we should be very proud of that. Any other comments or questions? Hearing none, the voting is open. Thank you guys for your nomination. Please vote.
Motion carried 5-0.
9.2 tonight, discuss, consider, and take action to approve the spending of up to $2 million of additional claims out of the general fund in August for completion of 2017-18 budgets, grants, and transfers to depreciation. Dr. Robinson.
Thank you, Mr. President. This time of year, we traditionally make a request for a separate set of claims at the end of the month. We do have some invoices that we're hopefully we'll get here in the next few days to pay on, and those are invoices for some of our grants. Before I can turn in final reimbursement, I not only have to have it encumbered, but also expended. And it has to be done before the end of August. We also have a number of the building budgets and district budgets that had dollars left, and those dollars left will be depreciated for different items we've taken out of depreciation the last few years. It's time to replenish those supplies. And then our staff reserve fund will also be depreciated over. We discussed that when we did our staffing plan this year and how that would be budgeted. Next year, I'll have a lot more in-depth on that on our budget workshop. But this gives us enough room to do all that because we do not need to carry any more in our general fund reserve. So, a separate set in the September that you've approved, but you'll be publicly posted in September meeting. So,
Would accept a motion on 9.2.
I'll make a motion we approve 9.2.
I'll second the motion.
We have a motion and a second. The motion would be to approve to spend up to $2 million of additional claims out of the general fund in August for completion of 2017-18 budgets, grants, and transfers to depreciation as was presented in 9.2. Do we have any other discussion? Hearing none, the voting is open. Please vote.
Motion carried 5-0.
And our final agenda item is a small one in terms of words, but very important to the future of our district. Item 9.3 tonight is discuss, consider, and take action to approve the 2018 strategic action plans. Dr. Thompson.
Thank you, Mr. President. Our strategic action planning committees have reviewed the feedback that you provided them during our board and administration retreat this summer and made adjustments where needed. At this time, we are asking you to approve our 2018 strategic action plans related to target-based instruction and grading, school safety, and early childhood education. Those were all listed for you to review, and they were presented to you at the board admin retreat. If you have any questions, hopefully Mike or Beth or Bill could answer them as they were on those 3 strategic action planning committees.
for a motion on 9.3 related to strategic action plans.
I'll make a motion to approve the 2018 strategic action plans as they were presented.
I'll second.
We have a motion from Patty, a second from Tammy. Do we have any further discussion? I would jump in and say that the teams that have worked on these have done a outstanding job. The board admin retreat was very well thought out. You could tell the work that had gone into this and the responsiveness to some of our thoughts on it, and really complimentary of those groups for what they've done with this.
I agree. And I also really appreciated that the grading plan was divided into 3 separate action plans, because that is such a complex set of goals and actions that it just made sense to break it into smaller chunks. So thank you for doing that.
And the voting is open, so please vote.
Motion carried, 5-0.
That concludes all of our business this evening. Future meetings. Second meeting of the month of Board of Education has been tentatively scheduled for Thursday, August 23rd, 2018 at 12 noon, NPS Central Office Administration Offices. The regular meeting of the Board of Education will be held on Monday, September 10th, 2018, study session 5:30, followed by the business meeting at 6:30. All components of these meetings will be held at the NPS Central Administration Offices, will be open to the public unless an executive session is needed in order to protect the interests of the district or the reputation of an individual. We do not have an executive session tonight.
Can I say one thing?
You may.
I would just like to note that we will have the second monthly meeting this month, as we need to do the budget workshop.
It is no longer tentative, it is officially scheduled. With that, at 7:04 p.m., we are adjourned.